Hello, data science students. I hope you're all doing well, staying happy, healthy, and safe. I just saw you guys a few minutes ago in class. Regardless of when you're watching this, for me that was just a little bit ago. Uh, and I've gotten some questions. Matter of fact, several of you have asked the same question a couple times, and it centers around how to read the files into your Python script. And so I wanted to take a moment to give you a few tips. There's a lot of different ways to do it. Some are better than others. For the purposes of your assignment, do which one is going to work best for you, which you feel is like within your skill level, but also within your time constraints. So let me show you a little bit about that. Let me zoop my window down. There we go, about like that. Okay. So to make things easy, I've went ahead and downloaded the data set that you guys are using for your assignment. You got your script A's, you got your script B's, and you're going to want to read all of these guys in. And you're going to want to, do that in your Python script. So let's write a little Python script. We'll call it test.py, and let's open a file. You've done this. You've had to open a file for all of your assignments so far. So let's just see, what we would normally do. Normally we would, make a place to put it, a variable. We'd open it up. We'd type a file name. Let's just do the first one from series A, so A101 script.txt. Want to open it for reading, and want to get the data out as a string, so data equal data.read. And so we had, just for sanity checking purposes, we'll print that data. Let's run our code over here, python 3 test.py. Look, there's all of our script. So, how would we do this if we wanted to open, say, also script 2? Well, we could do the same thing. We could do data equal open a102 script.txt, open it for reading, data equal data.read, and then we've got it in again. But you want to keep track of each of these scripts individually. So what you might want to do is have a list of all your data. So series A data, that'll be an empty list, and we can append each of these to, we'll copy and paste it so we don't have to retype it. So we can open a file, read it, append it. Open a file, read it, append it, over and over and over and over. Is this easy to implement? Yeah, really easy. Take a lot of time? Yeah. Is it robust? Say if like your file names change, or you add more data or take data away? Nah, you got to go back and edit your code to to not open a specific file if you took one out, or add a new line, a new set of lines if you added a file to your list. So, it's not the most robust way to do it, but it's the simplest way to do it. A slightly more sophisticated way to go about it would be, instead of doing this, where you're typing in each individual file name in an open, you could have, series A files, and make a list. And inside of this list, do A101 script.text. I cannot type today. There we go. A102 script.text, and so on and so forth. And then what you could do is you could loop through the contents of that list. So for file name in series A files, data equal open file name. Instead of putting in quotes the literal file name, you can use the variable file name here. And we'll read it in, data equal data.read, and then we can append it to our series A data. And then every file that's listed in this list will be opened, read, and added to your list of data. That's one way to go about it. And this is a slightly more sophisticated way. So next time you have to change it, if you add or subtract the script from your list, you just need to go in and edit this list instead of editing, more lines of code down here. But still not maybe the best and most ideal way to do it, because you still have to keep these things hard-coded. You do want, typically, for best programming practices, to have your code be robust enough to not have to be changed if you add files or subtract files from the directory you're trying to work in. And one way to do that is, let's clear all this off, is to import the OS library, the operating systems library. There's a lot of really cool stuff in this, lets you have access to the file system and do other neat stuff. For what you're going to want to do for this assignment, we're not going to get terribly fancy. But this, what I'm about to show you, is going to be helpful here, but it will be even more helpful for your next challenge, where you're doing image analysis and you're reading in a ton of images to analyze. So OS has a function built into it, I think it's called list_dir. Let's just run this and see if it crashes. It's okay not to know stuff. You can look it up if you need to. Or rather, it's okay not to remember stuff. Okay, it didn't crash, so I think we got the name right. What os.list_dir does, it lists all of the files in a directory. And you can tell it what directory, by in quotes, typing the path to wherever you want to list the files from. If you leave it empty, it's just going to assume that you're listing the files in the directory you're running your code from. You can also explicitly tell it that by saying, in quotes, dot. So, open quote, dot, close quote. The period, the dot, is a special character that indicates that you're talking about your current directory, the directory that you're working in right now. What this does, it gives you a list of file names. So let's print this and see what we get. Hey, look, it's a list of file names. And we've got our scripts in there, and just like we would normally do with a list, you could loop through it. You could loop through individual file name in file names, and we can print file name. And look at that. It lists each one of the files we have in our data set, plus, oh my goodness, here's the file we're editing right now, plus the little backup version that my text editor makes. Well, we don't want to deal with those files. We don't want to analyze them. We only want to analyze the scripts that we're reading in. So we can add a little if statement up here that helps us filter these guys out. For instance, if we wanted to only look at files that had .txt in their name, we could look for if.txt in file name. And let's see what we get. Look at that, it doesn't list our Python files anymore. Similarly, if you wanted to, and notice that these guys have a certain pattern to them. So for Series A, they all begin with A. Series B, they all begin with B. And this is all Season 1 stuff, so it's always a 1 after the letters. So, we can add to our if statement. If we just want to look at Series A, so if .txt in file name and A1 in file name, then we'll print the file name. And look at that, it only printed the script files for Series A. And so, if you wanted to do something similar to what we did before, we could have data for Series A. And, then we could data Series A dot append. and we could add the data from that file after we've opened it. Don't forget to open it. Data equal open file name for reading. Data equal data dot read. And then it'll add the contents of that file to the list of your Series A data. And just for sanity's sake, let's test this. Yeah, nothing broke. And so now, you've got a list of all of the text from all of your files in Series A. Yeah, let's just print data Series A, the first one, index 0, just to illustrate that we've got it, in a usable list. And look at that. There we go. So this will be very helpful for you. If you've got it working already, don't go back and modify your code just to accommodate using this. If you got it working, demonstrate and turn in what you have working. If you're struggling with reading in those files, consider using this, or consider using one of the simpler but less robust methods. One of the advantages of doing it this way is if you ever... Oops, wrong window. If you ever take files out of this directory or add files to this directory, as long as you keep the same formatting of the file name, like A1, BG1, whatever, .txt, you'll never have to edit your code. You just have to add and subtract the files from the directory, and your code will just work. So that's very powerful. It means you have a robust set of code that can accommodate changes to, the files that you're analyzing. That's a good thing. But get it working in the way that you're most comfortable with. Remember, the goal of this assignment is to get it functional. And I'm not going to nitpick the way that you get it done. But this approach here is going to be very, very useful for this assignment, but also probably more useful for the upcoming image analysis assignment. So if you want to start playing around with this, go right ahead. Feel free to try it. And if you have questions, don't hesitate to get in touch with me, get in touch with Riley. Utilize the questions section on Discord. And I don't mean just posting your questions, but if you watching this have an answer to someone's question that's not giving away the show, as long as you're not sharing your code, yeah, feel free to help answer your classmates' questions. Like, for instance, if someone's asking about this and you're like, oh, well, you can import OS and use the list dir function. That's not sharing your code. That's sharing information about, like, Python's programming API. You can do that, no problems. I want you guys to help each other as much as you can, so feel free to do that. What else? Yeah, pretty much that. As long as you're not sharing your code and you're sharing pointers about how to work around things, or places to look in the Python documentation that might help someone, yeah, feel free to do that. Last semester, the students utilized that a lot. I don't think you guys are utilizing it quite as much this semester, and you should. It's great. Really, really help each other out. I want you to have a supportive community here. It's not cheating if you're just telling people like, oh, well, you need to think about using this function, or maybe you want to take the approach where you read in all your files in a batch or whatever, those kind of things. I don't consider that cheating. Just don't share your code. That's the deal. But yeah, if you have any questions, like I said, feel free to get in touch with us. I'm sorry if there's weird background noise. I've got the 3D printer going. I'm prototyping a modification for a VR headset I'm working on. This is my first prototype here. It's a little thing that attaches to it. This worked really well. I'm hoping my revised prototype in the printer is going to come out just as well. So anyway, I hope you guys are all doing well, staying happy, staying healthy, staying safe, and I'll see you in class. Take care.